Hello you all, welcome to my channel. If you are a returning subscriber, what's good? If you are new, hey boo, I am back with another video. And so I know y'all looking at that title like, girl, because that's basically what I was thinking. Okay, this topic has been fluent the algorithm. And so I watched Latasha's testimony from earlier this week. Actually, it took a couple of days for me to digest this topic, because at first I was thinking like, okay, do I really want to do a video on this? And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do a video on this because it does have a lot to do with spirituality. And if I got the time and the energy and the patience, I may make two separate videos, a spiritual video and a life advice video, because that's what's really coming out at me right now, is that this need to be two separate videos. But for the ones that may not know, this young lady, Latasha, was in an affair with this married pastor. Okay, she ended up unaliving this pastor because he broke things off with her. That's basically how we just gonna sum it up. We're gonna kind of unpack the layers of this video. I'm not gonna tell y'all everything, but if you really want to watch the full testimony, I think I may link it in the description. But this was a crazy story, y'all. I touched on this a couple of times throughout my channel. This is why I say I don't really respect women that put a man on a pedestal. This is basically how we are going to start this video. I'm going to get into the spiritual message later. But this is what happened when you idolize a man. This is what happens when you tend to make a man a focal point of your life. This type of thing happened. And I told y'all ladies earlier on my channel that when you put all your focus on the man, it's never going to end well. And sadly to say, this story was sad, y'all. It was a couple of times through the testimony to where I had to pause and come back to it because it was just too much to take in. It was times throughout the testimony where I was listening to it to where I felt sorry for her, because this situation would be different if she would have, first of all, not even entertained it at all. She should have just kept on going about her way when he broke things off with her. And the fact that she's probably going to have to spend the rest of her life behind bars. And I said this in my last video, don't address another woman about your man. While I say it's a lot of women sitting behind bars, this story is the prime example of what I was talking about. And it's so crazy that I didn't even know nothing about this case until now. And I just talked about this situation with y'all, even though she was the other woman. But that video message that I just made a while back about addressing other women, that's basically what she did. She showed up to their place with the intent of trying to address his wife about their affair. It's like when a man play with your heart and your feelings, it do take a mental toll and emotional toll on you. And some women are more emotionally mature than others. In this case, she was not emotionally and mentally well enough to keep it moving. She let her emotions take over to the point where it started to play on her mental state, which caused this to happen. She is not the type of woman that you could break up with and move on peaceably. She gonna make you pay for breaking her heart. And what's the name of the testimony? You broke my heart. Then was her last statements before she offed him. I was just listening to the testimony, looking at her. She really do look like the type of woman that you could look at people in general and you could tell they have low self-esteem. Her body language, you could tell that she felt uncomfortable explaining this entire situation to a courtroom full of people and to the public. It was apparent that she was ashamed of what she done, but it seemed like she was more ashamed of the situation than what she did to him. But the thing about it is, and I told y'all before in a few videos back about pulpit demons being exposed. And this is a prime example of a pulpit demon. Demons are spiritual beings, okay? They take form through human flesh. And so it's not going to appear like a scary red creature with horns on the top of their head. Demons come in all different shapes and forms and backgrounds and positions and titles. A demon does not have a specific look. Even when it comes to a person, demons take forms through so many different people. They have supernatural kind of abilities. And that's another thing that I noticed about her testimony that we're going to break down later on. When they get into things like this, that's a deadly combination. she was clearly a love crazed kind of woman. The woman that I explained in my video, to where I say a lot of those women, they don't think rationally. They're just kind of caught up on love and having a man and having a relationship. There's obviously some lacking there where she wasn't thinking clearly. She let her emotions get the best of her, to where it ended up costing somebody else their life and her life. You know, she's going to be behind bars possibly for the rest of her life. And this is a situation to where I feel like a lot of women can take a lesson from, because it's just like, you got to really think, is love really worth that?
She was clearly lacking self-love and esteem based off of the treatment she endured from this man. This man was a demon in the flesh. Okay, no doubt about it.
You got to have control over your emotions. And I feel like anybody that is love crazy, when you make someone the focal point of your life, and that's this whole testimony, you could tell that she was just fixated on this man, and it was in an obsessive kind of way. Like, I really read through this entire situation. I could read it like on a spiritual level as well, but she was so caught up on him to where you could tell she didn't have her focus on nothing else that was going on in her life. She talked about her kids. I'm like, she got children? Or she had a son or children. It was one of them. It was just like the way she told her testimony. It was almost as if she was a single woman with no kids. I was just like, she got kids? And like I said, when you too caught up on a relationship and a man in love, you don't think about nothing else. And that's why I say those type of women are weak-minded. You know, this was a weak-minded kind of move that she made, because if she had any real sense, she would have walked away. She would have never got caught up in the situation in the first place. First off, let's just say that he's married and a pastor. Like, sis, come on, man. Really? That's a double no. A hell to the no, okay? Hell to the no. To the no. Hell to the no. Like, you are married and you're a pastor? Pulpit demon. That's the only way to describe it. But I was just thinking about the situation, like when she started off talking about it, the way she explained it, and y'all already know I'm gonna give my take on it. Y'all know I be going deep though, and y'all could put y'all thoughts in the comments below to what y'all thought about this situation. Like, it's messed up. This was a sad story because it was just like her whole demeanor. You could clearly tell that she was just operating in her emotions and she wasn't thinking rationally.
And he definitely did a number on her emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And he broke that woman's spirit. You could tell through her demeanor in that video, her energy. You can read it. She treated her like she was trash. You could see it all on her that she felt like less of a woman. You can see that on her aura through her testimony. That's something that is probably going to take a mental toll on her for a long time.
You could tell that she regret what she did. So you literally could have just kept it moving. Like, once he texted you and said that it was over, then you should have just kept it moving. Like, you should have never. And I could tell that that's probably what she was thinking. I wouldn't be here right now if I had just kept it moving in my life. And that's what happens when you don't have control over your emotions and you let them get the best of you to the point where you doing irrational things. Like, that whole popping up at his house where that type of stuff, that's crazy behavior. That's crazy. And just to think she was close with the wife, and just we gonna break the whole thing down with the past to the church, the congregation, like how all of that plays into this. That's why I always come on my channel and tell y'all that it's important for you to form your own personal relationship with the Lord, because you can't depend on nobody else when it comes to the Lord. When it comes to spiritual matters, you can put your faith and trust in the Lord and you will never be misled. And me personally, the takeaway I got from this, even when it comes to discussing spiritual matters with spiritual leaders, are they reliable enough to receive spiritual guidance and counsel from? This lady would have been better off getting some marital counseling from a professional counselor. She knew she was in the wrong for going to this pastor with her marital problems. She was in the wrong from the get-go, but we're going to get into it. She was misled by this pastor. There was clearly a strong spirit of lust and perversion in this entire situation. Before we even get into this, I'm going to say that I agree that this was premeditated. I'm sorry, sis. Like, I felt a little sorry for you because the way he played you. But you had a choice. You drove 2 or 3 hours. you knew what you was going to go do. You could clearly tell that she was angry, she was hurt. It was a range of emotions that she was going through that caused her to drag that long. It's just like, you could tell she clearly was on an all-out mission to go unalive this man. It was just the whole thing of, she knew she had that piece on her. If you knew that you weren't finna go do nothing, why would you take a piece with you?
The reason why she kept talking about the suicide attempts, I feel like that was a way to sway the jury to feel some sort of guilt for her and to actually justify why she had that piece on her. She wanted everybody to believe that she was carrying this piece around because she was gonna unalive herself. She wanted people to believe, like I said, it's that whole guilt trip kind of thing. Why would I try to hurt somebody? I take my life before I take anyone else's. Any way you slice it, that's mentally unstable all in itself. Her even saying that she wanted to attempt suicide on herself, that was a clear indicator that she was mentally unstable from the jump. So if she mentally unstable enough to take her own life, why wouldn't anybody believe that she wouldn't be capable of taking someone else's life?
Let me just say this. You will have those women that will go to church. They are not there to get spiritual guidance. And this is basically what the situation sounds like. It seems as though she had an eye for the pastor, okay? She was having troubles within her marriage, okay? A lot of women tend to go to the church for all their problems. They feel like the church is going to resolve all their life problems and their stresses, and when really all you got to do is get down on your hands and knees and pray to the Lord himself, okay? That's the best route to go these days, because you can't really trust nobody, okay? The pastor was clearly a demon in disguise, but we gonna get into that. She left a lot of parts out of the story. You can tell. You know how you could just hear some stuff and you sitting there like, girl, nah, you leaving some stuff out, because she basically tried to make it seem like she just met up with him at her office and they just hit it off like that. No, it was more than that, sis. It had to have been some signals before the meeting even came about, and that's the one thing she leaving out. The pastor ain't here to tell his side of the story, but she leaving parts out. She want everybody to feel guilty for her, but really, sis, you got to take some accountability for what you did. First of all, you messing around. You knew this man was married, okay? And so you going to church, he, and laughing, and you ain't even there for the message. You ain't there. You there for this man. Now, looking at the man, he's an attractive guy, okay? I get that to him. He's attractive. And that's the thing about it. A lot of men, and I said this before, a lot of men get in certain positions, not because this is their calling. They want to gain certain positions and certain titles so that they can have access to women. A lot of people are not called to be a pastor. And I'm just going to say that straight up. At the end of the day, a man is going to be a man. It does not matter what sort of title and position he may hold. But this man took advantage of this woman, clearly. But she leaving out the fact that it was some signals being thrown around before they even decide to meet up. Because it's just like, she talking about some, she ain't want to meet with him at church because she already knew it. She was going to feel even more guilty if she was to ever get any sort of quote unquote spiritual guidance and counsel in the church. Like, she knew, I'm sorry, sis, but she knew she had an eye for this man, and low-key she knew he had an eye for her too. She said she was involved with a lot of the activities within the church, and that's usually how a lot of the affairs happen. A lot of women take certain positions within the church to be close to the pastor. Okay, a lot of the women are wolves in sheep's clothing too. They have a very predatory nature about themselves as well. They be knowing that a man is married and they don't care. Okay, I told you I grew up in the church. I know how this stuff go. A lot of women, they go to church to try to seek them out a man. They are not there for spiritual guidance. They are not there to get a message from the Lord. And that's just the sad hard reality. This is the type of world we live in, to where people are not gonna have the best intentions. When they man is in a certain headspace and they operate and they think a certain way, it's all about your mindset. What is it that you value the most? Some women entire life is value as a man, finding love, getting him a husband. The things that I have observed, everything that she explained in her testimony, I've seen that a lot with church women. Okay, a lot of them are, and I'm sorry to say this, I'm not saying this is every woman, but majority of women like that, overly religious. A lot of that stuff is a facade. They are naive and gullible. They really do feel like certain men have power to the point where they really start to look at this man as if he is God. They put God on the back burner. She said something in her testimony that kind of stood true to what I'm saying. For the ones who listen to the testimony, she wrote in her suicide letter, she felt like God wasn't listening to her prayers because of what she was doing. She was committing adultery with a married man, and she felt like the Lord wasn't answering her prayers because of that. Now, the real truth about it was that the fact that this man was a pastor and he was doing all this stuff to her and with her, that lady faith went right out the window. Okay? She ain't had no faith and belief in the Lord after that. That's why I say you don't put a man on a pedestal to the point where she basically idolized this man. Okay? The type of stuff that she was saying that they was partaking in, things that they was doing. And I was just thinking, like, girl, when I know if I'm not the only one, but when she got to going through the breakdown of their relationship, it seemed like she was paying for him. And I told y'all, listen, y'all don't be listening to me. Y'all think I just be talking. I told y'all that when you go all out for a man, when you splurge on him, you take care of him, he's not, 9 times out of 10, he's not going to respect you. He's going to use you for all that you give him. The man supposed to be pursuing you and chasing you. Like, why? And when she got to talking about all the money she spent on him, I'm like, girl, to be quite honest, that was the breaking point. She ain't explaining everything. She's trying to make herself look like the victim in this situation. She's trying to get the jury and other people to be on her side. She not really breaking down. Like, y'all know how us women be. Like, I done spent all this money on this and he did this and that to me. That's really what she wanted to say. Okay? But she ain't gonna say it. She wants to tell her testimony in a way that's gonna work in her favor. She feel like she may get off. Listen, the way this situation played out, it's not looking good for sis. I'm just gonna say that right off back. They said her sentencing they gonna announce that in December, I think. But she spent all that money on him. It's just like, girl, I'm just sitting up here thinking like, sis, if you was the mistress, you already know that you supposed to be a kept woman. Okay, if you the other woman, you the mistress, those situations, sis, you did it wrong, because ain't nowhere in the world you should have been spending all that money on him like that. She ain't gonna tell the whole truth because she know it's gonna hurt her case. But that woman was pissed. That man played in her face. He played in her pockets. He played with her man. He did all type of man controlling manipulation tactics. He's what you would call a warlock. The highest ranking kind of warlock of a demon. He treated her body like she was an object, like she was a sex toy, and all type of stuff. That's why she unalived him. She clearly had low self-esteem, because you could tell just by looking at this situation, looking at her and looking at him, he definitely thought that he was better than her. He definitely thought that he looked better than her. You know, like I said, you just got certain men to where they feel like they're better than you. Like, he basically told her so many words that if you want my time and attention, then you got to pay for it. You know, his whole stance, he was nowhere near a man of God. When I looked at the picture of him, I was just looking at, you know how you look at certain men, you just say to yourself, you shake your head like he does not have the calling. It's just something that you read off of their aura, even through their appearance, that they don't have the calling. You can tell that they're in it for a different intention. And we're gonna get into the wife too, but certain people get into the ministry business for money, okay? And she even explained that. She was like how he was trying to get her to solicit money from the congregation of other, the church members. And I was just like, this whole thing, this entire thing is wicked. And you could tell that it was other people in on it. She low-key you could tell that she wanted to say more, but she didn't want to expose people, because that's how it is in the church business. People within the church, 9 times out of 10, those are the ones that live a double life. She's talking about they going to bars and cigar lounges and stuff. Like, what type of pastor? That's what I was thinking. When she kept on saying bourbon throughout the video, I ain't gonna even lie though. When she said bourbon at first, I was thinking, I was slow. I was like, what is bourbon? And then I had to think like, oh, like liquor whiskey. Because I just got to thinking like, okay, he's a pastor. And look at the type of stuff that he's engaging in. not a man of God. The way she was explaining it, it was like she had to catch herself. She's like, well, I really don't want to say that all the congregation members and the pastor, the lead pastor was there at the cigar lounges in the bars. It's just like, come on, man. Just playing in God's face. That's why I say this is why the churches are empty. This is why a lot of people don't go to church, because the biggest sinners are in the church. Okay? They ain't no pristine, pure-hearted kind of people. It may appear that way from the outside. You got to question the person that's going over and beyond to prove to people that they are so anointed and called by God. That's a red flag to me, okay? Because at the end of the day, you human. Like, who are you trying to convince? Clearly, they was living a wicked kind of lifestyle behind the pulpit. Her testimony is basically the undercover truth and secrets behind church. Because a lot of times that's what the situation is. It's a lot of hypocrites within the church. It's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing in the church. And I have explained to y'all that plenty of times on my channel, that you cannot put your faith in man. You got to put your trust and faith in the Lord. Because this sort of situation right here, all of this could have been avoided if she had just had a strong enough relationship with the Lord to where she didn't feel the need to get it from another man. When she was explaining the whole situation, like all the things she was doing with him, all the money she was spending on him, all the time she was investing in him, her emotions, her body, just the way he treated her. When she said she felt like trash, the way he made her feel, it was a double whammy. It was a double-edged sword in her heart, that not only am I messing with this married man, he's a pastor. That's the double-edged sword, I feel like, because it's like he played in your face. He bamboozled you. He done tricked you up out of your relationship with the Lord. Clearly, the Lord was nowhere in this situation. And she was going to make him pay for what he did to her, because he did more than play with her heart. He played with her faith as well. Okay, y'all know I came on my channel plenty of times and told y'all that this is a spiritual world we are living in. Okay, so she went to this man with the intent of getting some sort of spiritual guidance, but she let her fleshly desires take over, and he did as well. But the thing about it is, she clearly didn't have enough spiritual discipline to see through this situation for what it was. She knew that this situation could have possibly went left when she invited him to her office to talk. What type of pastor meeting up with you at your office at work or something? I don't know. Your place of business. Just the whole thing was just janky, because it's like, that's not professional at all. The whole situation is wrong. She didn't want to meet with him in that church because she didn't want to feel guilty. She was already feeling some sort of guilt and conviction by the fact that she was attracted to this pastor. I'm telling y'all, she ain't telling the whole story. She trying to make herself look good. She want to come up out of this thing. She ain't taking full accountability. And that's the thing that I don't respect. Okay, you got to take accountability for this part that you played in this situation. She's trying to make him out to be a monster, which he is. He is a monster, the way he did her. But you got to take some accountability for your part that you played in this. But just jump into the whole thing with, first she said she wanted to break things off with him. I may do a part 2 to this video just to break everything down that's in the takeaway that I got from this entire situation. I hope y'all ladies taking heed to the testimony of this story. First she said she wanted to end things with him because of the way he was treating her. When she said this, mug laughed at her and said, well, why didn't you do it? He just basically paid in your face right there. Like, okay, I'm sitting up here playing a game with you. I done played you so many times and you still here. That's the breaking point with her. He was constantly playing in her face. And this is the sadistic nature about this whole thing. Not only was he playing in her face, he was getting enjoyment out of doing it. Okay? That's the one takeaway from this entire case, is that he took enjoyment out of playing with her. That's why she snapped the way she did. Okay? It was a chain of events that led up. It was just like one situation after another. It seemed like it got worse. Each situation she was explaining, the encounter that she was having with him, it was getting worse. I could tell that stuff was building up from within her. She thought about that for that whole 2 or 3 hour drive. I feel like she was more so angry than anything. Of course she was hurt, but she let that anger override her. They say wrath is a sin, okay? She got up there and said she was hurt. Nah, says you was angry, okay? Because that was the only thing I felt caused her to take his life. Let's kind of backtrack. After she said she was going to break things off of him and he played in her face, first of all, he disrespected her. This was the highest form of disrespect. And I made this video a while back where I talked about soul ties and sex demons. Y'all may want to go back and listen to that video. And it's going to correlate with this testimony. I said when a man have sex with you in a way, like how she explained, he is degrading you. Okay? He clearly had no respect for her. He didn't respect her body. And see, this is why I said this should have been a deeper video, but this probably may go on to another video. But I said that when it comes to demons taking over, because clearly she was dealing with a demon. Judging from what she told us about the type of things they were partaking and type of things he was into some very sadistic stuff. And I really do feel like she's leaving out a lot of things out of fear of embarrassment. Okay, I feel like she partaked in way more things than what she telling us. But when you are dealing with spirits like that, he had a lustful, perversion, wicked kind of spirit, just based off of what she was saying about him. She said he had sex with her in a way that made her feel dirty and degraded. I said, when certain spirits get you in the bed, their main goal is to exploit you in the worst way. And they're going to do it through the sex. Okay, sex is a spiritual act. And so, depending on how a man treats your body in the bedroom, is going to let you know what sort of spirit you're dealing with. She was dealing with a demonic spirit on this man. He took advantage of her in that bedroom. And that's another thing that played on her mental state. Okay? He took advantage of her in so many ways. That anger was building up. That was premeditated. I don't care what nobody say. That was premeditated because it was a lot of things and emotions that she was ruminating on. The way she looked on that stand, she looked mentally unstable. But the one thing I can't say I gave to her, she was very articulate and well-spoken with her testimony. But she looked very mentally distraught. She looked like she had been toyed with mentally. Like I'm telling you, it's the appearance with that. She obviously went through spiritual warfare with this relationship to where she was constantly spiritually attacked by this man. She did not look like she was in her right mind. Even though she was well dressed, she still looked a little disheveled. She wasn't right. Her spirit ain't the same. Okay, so it's going to give off the appearance. She looked worn and torn. She looked like she was broken. I noticed it in her mugshot too. She looked a little off. Sometimes you can look at people, you can look at their face and you can tell that they're mentally off. There's something wrong with them. After she said he played in her face like that, then she said that she was about to attempt to unalive herself. I'm just like, girl, you could tell he disrespected her to the highest regard. When somebody gets to that point to where they ready to end it all, the way she was explaining that testimony, I could tell that she was leaving other things out too. It had to be some more heinous type of things he did to her. She probably was too embarrassed to tell. Okay? Just gonna ride off of that. Because for her to take his life like that, and then she tried it with the wife too, it was something else within the testimony. After she told him that she was gonna take her life, she said something. I feel like nobody else probably caught this. She said, I'm about to make you feel the same pain that you making me feel. That was the key right there. This entire case. The minute she threatened him with suicide. This man, he ain't here to tell his story, but what I read from that is that he knew that she was mentally unstable. He knew that she had the capability of hurting him. So when she was threatening him with suicide, she said that he told her that he loved her and not to do it. Even though this man ain't felt nothing about this woman. He ain't had no love for her. That man ain't want her doing nothing crazy to him. That's what it was. She low-key gave him a fair warning of what she was capable of doing. He knew she was crazy. And this is another thing too I want to point out within her testimony. For her to pop up at their house like that, knowing that he wasn't there and the wife was there, that's borderline crazy. Then she said she bent down by the peephole after she knocked on the door. Like, she basically was playing games with his wife. That's the callous thing about it. She talking about she bent down to tie her shoe or something like that. Girl, no you didn't. You was trying to play games with that lady. Because she said the lady said, I'm not opening the door for nobody that I can't see. Girl, you was trying to play peekaboo, playing games with his wife. Their wife should have never opened the door for her. I know she thinking back on it like that was the biggest regret. She leaving a lot of stuff out of this story. She low-key was threatening him. A lot of women do that type of thing to where they will threaten a man with suicide. That was manipulation right there. She wanted him to feel sorry for the way that he was treating her, when really it was a lot of underhanded things behind that. This man knew she was crazy. Okay? So, yeah, he gonna tell her you love her. Yeah, he gonna tell her don't do this. Yeah, he gonna take that gun away from her. I ain't trying to lose my life. Yeah, I love you with all my heart and soul. And he ain't here no more to tell his side of the story. Okay? But the minute she threatened him with suicide, he should have already known that she was a danger to his life and his wife. That was a fool move. This entire case, this is a lot to unpack. Their wife knew a lot more than what she's saying. The way that she was telling her testimony when it came to the wife, it seemed as though the wife had no knowledge of this affair that she had with him. But I don't believe that. The way this woman told her testimony, you could clearly tell that this man was unfaithful. Way before her. He clearly had been cheating on his wife. This ain't nothing new to the wife. The wife knew that her husband was a dog. She's saving face. She ain't saying much because she wants to protect herself and her husband. But like I said, it's a lot of parts of this story, this testimony is being left out. I ain't gonna necessarily say that she probably knew of this affair that he was having with her, but you could tell that she knew that he wasn't no faithful guy. Okay? Sort of lifestyle he living, hanging out at cigar lounges and bars. Come on now. She know. You got certain women that they just will put up with certain things with a man. Okay? She already knew what type of man she had. But the fact that she went to go chill with the wife, that's what had me looking at everything funny. Because it's just like, girl, I couldn't picture myself driving 2 or 3 hours to go to this man's house. It's just like everything that she did
was calculated and planned.
Even when it came to the whole thing with her explaining that the wife knew that he wanted to have a 3-way relationship, something like whatever sort of relationship they were trying to have, I was confused by that too. But it was weird because it's just like, how you drive 3 hours to go see him and then you go with he and laugh in a white face. The takeaway I took from it, she definitely had intentions on doing something. Okay? She had that 2-3 hour drive and she was angry and upset from the way he played her. She went to that apartment with the intent on telling his wife about their relationship. She said this situation gonna go either one or two ways. Either he gonna tell his wife about us or somebody gonna get hurt. That's what happened, y'all. Okay, that's my takeaway from it. Because ain't no way you ain't had no intent on hurting nobody, but you went up in there with a piece. Come on now. And you sat in their apartment with his wife. What she said, 15 to 30 minutes before he showed up. Like, girl, you knew what you was there for. She was scandalous. The fact that you sat up and he in his white face like you want her husband, that's trifling right there. But the way she explained it when he showed up, we get into the end of it, okay? I don't think he knew that she was actually going to show up. He didn't take that too seriously. When she threatened with that gun the first time, he didn't take that too serious enough. Like, why would you leave your wife alone with this woman that threatened suicide and she basically threatened you? It was almost as if he ain't care. He didn't care about the wife. And just thinking about the wife, I feel so bad for her. I really do. because they got to be painful. You out here cheating on me, and then you got this woman in our place, and then she tried to off both of us. I done took a bullet for this lying, cheating bastard that I done been with. Just imagine the sort of hurt and pain she had to endure, the aftermath of everything. 9 times out of 10, she had to plan his funeral too. Like, that just would have been too much for me. Too much. My heart goes out to the wife. Okay? It was a blessing that she survived. It really was. The Lord protected her. He was protecting her heart throughout this entire ordeal, because from the sound of the testimony, even though it appeared as if she knew about the affair, she had enough emotional control. She was the innocent one in this situation. Okay? She did not deserve this at all. She said when he showed up, he was looking like he wasn't even fazed by her even being there. That was another double-edged sword. That anger and that hurt, that resentment building up. All like, you gonna keep steady playing in my face? You gonna sit up here and treat me like I'm not sitting here? That's how she explained the situation. Okay? This woman, like I said, she was deranged. She wasn't in her right mind because she let her emotions get the best of her. He walked in, he wasn't even fazed by her presence. She was basically obsolete to him. She was nothing to him. The moment he walked through that door, he showed her how much he meant to him. Nothing. She played herself going to his place. He already discarded her in the relationship. He was already gone from it. She wasn't trying to let the situation go. She wasn't trying to let him go. That's why she drove 2 or 3 hours to his house. That was some crazy stuff. This situation probably would have been avoided had he took some sort of action. Like, that's some restraining order type of stuff. The minute you would have pulled out a gun, threatening suicide, or basically trying to threaten me, I would have got a restraining order after that. It seemed like she was stalking him, because it seemed like she knew his whereabouts. Like, girl, this man just said he don't want you no more. But like I said, certain women, they fixate on a man to the point where it becomes obsessive and dangerous. Love crazy kind of women are dangerous. That's why I say I don't fool with them. I don't want to be friends with them. I don't want to be associated with women like that, because like I said, they don't think rationally. Their entire life and focal point is a man in love. They got danger written all over it. But when he played in her face and he showed up to that place, he was talking to the wife, carrying on with his wife. He said a lot without saying much to her. A man is gonna show you through his actions how he feel about you. She was waiting for some answers, but she wanted confirmation from him. She wanted to hear out of the bird's mouth. He already showed you several times that he don't care about you and that he don't want you. He's just carrying on his life with his wife as if you are not even there. He treated her like she was invisible to him. Their wife, I don't know whether she testified or not. I just heard Latasha's testimony, but their wife, she carrying some secrets. Okay, she know more than she is leading on. I forgot to add this. After he dissed her, like she went there, he asked her what was she doing there. That's another double-edged sword. Like, I just drove 2 or 3 hours, you asking me why I'm here? Oh, listen. Women like this, I'm telling you, they don't think rationally, okay? You just asked me why I'm here? As if we ain't had no conversation before I got here about this situation. You told me we was going to be together. You told me that you was going to leave your wife, and then we was going to go on a trip together afterwards. You asking me why I'm here? And then you walk through the door and act like you didn't see me, like you didn't even acknowledge me. And you told me you didn't want me. You broke up with me through a disappearing text. She's not going to say everything, okay? She's trying to make herself look like an angel in this situation. She's trying to make him out to be a monster. He basically dismissed her and told her, like, she is the type of woman that don't know how to read social cues. She don't know how to pick up on the fact that a man is not interested. She'll be one of them type of women that will still go all out of her way. Like, this man ain't returning none of her calls. She will be the type of woman that will blow a man phone up, call him 100 times, text him 50 million times. She that type of woman, okay? If she could drive 2 or 3 hours after he just basically ended things with you, girl, that's got crazy written all over it. But when he did something, basically told her, like, what you doing here? He basically told you, what you doing here? I just told you that it's over. What are you doing here? Then he told the wife to get up and let her out. Basically, like, I'm done with you. We already had a conversation. about this. I don't think he knew that she was going to actually show up to his apartment, okay? Like I said, it's a lot of things in this story that's missing. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. When he told his wife to get up and dismiss her, basically told her to leave. That was it right there. This was my whole thing, the takeaway I took from this. Clearly, this man knew that she wasn't her right man. He learned too late. It was a little too late, okay? Because when she showed up to his place, he probably was like, "Hey, she here? This woman is crazy." I'm pretty sure that's probably what he thought throughout the entirety of their relationship. Anybody that threatened suicide, that person is not mentally well. So he already knew she ain't have all her screws. But I don't think he thought that she was actually going to show up. Even though they talked and had a conversation about it. It could have been a situation to where he was like, man, let me get this woman up off my back. Let me tell her that I'm finna leave my wife for her. We're going to go on this trip together. Let me just, because she keep blowing my phone up. She keep, like I said, this man ain't here to tell his side of the story. She crazy. Let me just tell her anything. Yeah, you go to my house and we going to have this talk with my wife. I don't think that he actually thought that she was going to follow through with it and show up. The whole, her having his address, that was a fool move. It was apart from the movie Acrimony, okay? And I know, y'all know what scene I'm talking about. If y'all have seen the movie Acrimony with Taraji P. Henson, y'all gonna know what I'm talking about. When her husband divorced her and got with that other woman, and she found out, and she got to threatening him, what did the new wife say to him? You can't rationalize with crazy. That's the same situation with this woman that unalived this pastor. He thought he was going to be able to rationalize with crazy, and it ended up going left, okay? I think he was afraid when she showed up to their place, but he just tried to play it cool. When he seen that she was there, I don't think this man thought that she was gonna do anything. He knew she was crazy, but he ain't know that she was bad crazy. That's where he went wrong. But I think he didn't know that she was gonna show up. But because she was there, he probably thinking like, dang, you know, I'm caught up. This woman, my mistress, and showed up here with my wife. I gotta tell my wife about this woman. But I want to discuss this with her alone. That's my takeaway. What I got from it was that he walked into a messy situation and seen that she was there. It was like, damn, she done showed up. I got to tell my wife. But I don't want her to be here. That situation went left. Okay? That woman was not finna walk up out of that apartment without getting her answers. It's to why he hurt her and took advantage of her and played in her face the way he did. That's why she did what she did. That's why she unalived him, and that's why she shot his wife. She showed up with plans to hurt him. If the situation didn't go the way she planned, the way he said it, that was her next route. And that's what she did. Okay? And that's the whole takeaway I got from it. I'm going to end it right here. I may possibly do a part 2, but I think I already summed this entire video up. There's plenty of other videos out here where people have been speaking on this situation. But yeah, that's what happens when you put a man on a pedestal. You give him the power and the control. You can't put your trust and your faith in nobody like that. They're 9 times out of 10 going to let you down. The whole entire situation was messy. It was a sad scenario. You know, this situation could have went differently if she had just walked away. It's already bad enough that you are messing with a married man that's a pastor. You should have took your L and kept it moving. The whole thing with her was that she was more ashamed, embarrassed too. That is, she wasn't gonna walk away from this situation without somebody being hurt. She was extremely hurt. You can clearly tell. But she felt more ashamed and embarrassment because he was a pastor. He did her dirty. Okay, we're going to get into the spiritual message probably in the next video. But all in all, don't make no man the focal point of your life. Don't idolize no man. Don't mess with married men. Don't entertain married men. You seeing a man operating out the will of the Lord, it's your responsibility as a woman to walk away from that situation. You play with fire and expect not to get burned, this is the type of situation that happens. He played with her faith and played with her heart and ended up losing his life behind it. And so, yeah, hopefully I got something from this video. Hopefully it helped you in some way. Continue to protect y'all soul and spirit. And I will talk to y'all in the next video.